Hello and welcome back to the Aaryaman show. As always, I am Aaryaman Upasni and today I am going to talk about India's latest heartbreak, the Border Gavaskar Trophy. A lot of us kind of expected it, but we hoped for the better. We were very optimistic going into it, especially after that first test match at Perth. But things took an ugly turn, and from 1-0 we went down 3-1. And to be honest, there's a lot of reasons for it, there are a lot of factors for it, and that's why I'm here to talk about it, to analyze it a bit, and dive straight into it. So, getting straight at it, this test series was a huge disappointment for us, especially after that start that we had got at Perth. And it was not a perfect test match for India at any given point. We started off batting first. We started off a bit weak. We scored only about 150, 160 odd runs. But then we had the bowlers, especially Jasprit Bumrah, who saved us, gave us a lead of 50. And then that spectacular performance from Yashasvi Jaiswal, followed by that much needed 100 from Virat Kohli. And that victory of 295 runs at Perth, it really gave us a lot of hope. It really made us very optimistic. And to be honest, I don't blame you, but uh, everyone dreamt of probably a 3-1 win or a 2-1 win in Australia. And of course, playing a five test match series for the first time in Australia, we did expect to lose probably one or two at max. But the way things have gone, it's pure embarrassing, especially the test match at MCG and then the test match at Sydney, far from what we kind of expected and what we thought could happen. That collapse at MCG right around tea and after tea, when we thought, okay, we could probably tie this game, go into SCG, the final test of the series, with a bit of a positive attitude and still with a level series. That could have given us a lot of confidence. But when we collapsed like that, and when we lost a test match that we could have very easily drawn, it's not like we haven't been in those situations before. It's not like we have drawn a test match which was a lost cause. We've done that before, but this was just not done. And let's talk about why did we lose like the way we lost, especially that 3-1 defeat. Why did that happen? And for that, we'll have to analyze the team. So I'll go from the top to the bottom, and then of course I'll talk about the management and things going in the back as well. So starting off the top, the openers, of course, first of all, while going into this series, we did not have a fixed set of openers, because in the Bangladesh series and in the New Zealand series, we had Rohit Sharma and Yashasvi Jaiswal opening. So we did hope and we did think that it is going to be the same pair that goes to Australia. But then Rohit Sharma is not available for the first test. And between Abhimanyu Ishwaran and KL Rahul, we make the choice of getting KL Rahul, which according to me was a good choice, because KL Rahul has experience in Australia. And probably by opening Jaiswal and Ishwaran, you were putting two such batsmen who had no experience playing international cricket in Australia. It was probably the first twos. I mean, even though Ishwaran has travelled with India a lot, he has not played a single test match yet. So, in a way, it would be his first test match. So, to put two very young, somewhat inexperienced batsmen out there against this fiery Aussie bowling lineup, that would have been a mistake. And I think the management did well when they brought in KL Rahul, because both of these openers, they had a decent series. Uh, Jaiswal, I think he scored somewhere around 350, 360 runs, maybe more in this series. But primarily, the runs that he's made, they've come off in just 3 to 4 innings. I mean, the first series was, of course, the 161 at Perth, and then it was at MCG that he scored 84 and 82. And to be honest, it was in the first innings at MCG, he could have scored more. He could have went past that 100-run mark if Virat Kohli had not run him out. Uh, of course, let me take a moment to talk about it. A lot of people had said that it was not a run, it should not have been run. But I think it is equally Virat Kohli's mistake, because if the batsman, obviously he's playing, if he's confident enough to make the run, and he has made the run. If you look at him, Yashasvi Jaiswal has reached Virat Kohli's crease. So it was a run. The problem here was Virat Kohli, instead of looking at Jaiswal and instead of trusting his instinct, he kept looking at the fielder. Neither did he give a no call, nor did he run. And that is what led to that run out. So I think it was Virat Kohli being a bit selfish, trying to preserve his wicket. And in ordinary situations, I get it. You want to preserve your wicket, you want to play, but then what did you do with by preserving your wicket? You gave it away with a simple ball outside off stump. And we'll come to that problem again too. So Yashasvi Jaiswal, while he had a good series, there were only a few innings, probably 3 innings where he scored the majority of the runs. And then there were small innings where he scored like 20s, and he had those good starts, not going to lie. Even at SCG, you saw him hitting, I think, 3 fours in that first over against Mitchell Stark. I think 4 overs, 3 overs. I'm sorry. But you saw glimpses of him playing very well. But again, he could not convert some of them. And that is not entirely his fault. That is also because the Australian bowling lineup was so good. Similarly, with KL Rahul, he started off well at Perth. He looked like a very set batsman who was technically very sound. He played the first 3 test matches really well. He looked in top quality at Gaba. But then the team makes a mistake of pushing him onto the third. I mean, you do not break a fixed opening partnership, a partnership which has kind of found their bond together. You do not break that. They did that. Of course, KL Rahul, I did expect a bit more from him. He should have scored more. There's no way I'm justifying him scoring less. He should have scored more. But then again, even his dismissals, especially that, I think the one at MCG where he got out at 0, that was a great delivery. And credit to the bowler, it was almost unplayable to an extent. And then at SCG, you saw him inside edging the ball onto the stumps. So again, that was a bizarre dismissal, unlucky dismissal, I might add. So both of these openers, while they had a decent outing in Australia, they did not have that great outing. And when you're a team which probably has a weak number 3 to 6, you need 2 good openers. Of course, these players did all that they could do, and you can't put the entire blame on them because they've scored more than most of the team. And that brings me down lower the order. Number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Number 3, we did not have a fixed number 3 as well. Going into the series, I thought we needed Cheteshwar Pujara. According to reports, even Gautam Gambhir thought we needed Cheteshwar Pujara, but somehow the chief selector Ajit Agarkar thought that we did not need him, and that we needed to go towards younger players more and, make that transition. While I'm all for making that transition, I think when you are at a situation where you desperately need someone who can help you, any help should be welcome. Even if it is Cheteshwar Pujara, he's probably what, 36 right now. And if he's playing well, if he's done pretty well in county cricket, he's done pretty well in Ranji Trophy. I'm not saying he was extraordinary, but he did pretty well compared to what our other players were doing. He did pretty well compared to that. And that should have warranted a place for him into the team, especially at number 3, where we need someone who can buy us time, who can eat away balls and still score runs. And what did we have for the first test? Of course, Shubman Gill was unavailable, so we had to play Devdutt Padikkal in that. But then in the next match, as soon as Shubman Gill was available, we removed Devdutt Padikkal. We got in Shubman Gill. And again, for the next couple of test matches, the second match, the pink ball test, and then the one at Gabba, we saw good starts from Shubman Gill. But again, his inability to convert those 20 and 30 runs and those 40 runs into 50s and much more significant scores, that has been a problem for him. And I think that is also the reason why he averages only around 40. And in Sena countries, it's somewhere around 30, if I'm not wrong. So he definitely needs to improve on that. And the management at the end of the day needs to take a call. Listen, I'm all in for supporting a young player and backing him enough, giving him enough opportunities. But when you've given so many opportunities to a player like Shubman Gill and he still hasn't given you that returns, you need to take a call. Either you back him through and through, or you find someone else to take his spot while he goes back to Ranji cricket or even county cricket for that matter. Practices a bit, improves on his form. He removes that mental barrier probably that I'm assuming he has of going from the 30s, 40s to the 50s and 100s. And once he's done that, get him back, because he is the future of Indian cricket. A lot of people call him the next Rohit Sharma, the next Virat Kohli, and I agree with them. He has great potential. He's a great player. And he's shown this time and again. So you cannot drop him indefinitely. But yes, if he does not improve, he needs to be dropped till the time he shows some improvement. Now coming down to number 4, Virat Kohli, the man, the legend. We expected so much from him. Being the man Virat Kohli, a lot of us thought, okay, he did not have a great Bangladesh series, he did not have a great New Zealand series. Maybe he does well in Australia. Yeah, and he has traditionally done well in Australia, similarly to Rohit Sharma. They both have good enough record in Australia. But this Virat Kohli just does not look the same as he did before. I've read this a stat somewhere that from 2020 to 2025, his average is somewhere only around 30. And in those 4 years, obviously 2020 to 2024, end of 2024, he hasn't been that great. His first innings average is somewhere around 15. And a lot of pundits especially argue that the first innings is where you set the match, and to an extent that is true. You need to have a good first innings score so you can set the rhythm of the match, and he averages only 15 there, so that is a problem for India and especially for Virat Kohli. Personally, scoring runs is not the problem. The problem is him getting out in the same manner, in the same pattern, consecutively throughout the entire series. If you look at his dismissals throughout the entire series, he's only got out playing on the 5th or 6th stump outside the off stump, and he's edged it to the keeper or the slips. And that is the reason he hasn't scored runs, because that vulnerability of his, you can't see him overcoming that. You don't see any signs of him overcoming that vulnerability and getting past that mental block is all I can say, probably. And don't see the signs of him improving. So that is where, uh, he pushed the Indian team back. He held the team back. Number four, I mean, he's been a very pivotal player for us throughout the years, through all those years, ever since his debut for India. But if you're a player who's going to make the same mistakes again and again and again, and you're not going to improve, and the result of these mistakes happening is that the opposition has a simple strategy. Even the Australian bowlers in the interviews or the press that they did, they said they had a simple strategy: ball outside off to Virat Kohli. And he knows that they're going to do this. And yet he's not improving. Yet he's not leaving those balls outside off. And even if he does in the start of his innings, later when he becomes a bit comfortable, later when he becomes a bit confident, he does that again and edges it back. So unless he finds, something to counter that, and he learns to discipline himself with respect to leaving those balls outside off, unfortunately, I don't think there's a place for him in the Test 11. Uh, Number 5, coming down to Rishabh Pant. Obviously, going into Australia, we had a lot of expectations from Rishabh Pant, considering how he performed in the last Border Gavaskar Trophy that we played in Australia in 2021. And it's not wrong to say that he low-key disappointed us. See, you can have bad matches. That's fair. You can have matches where you play some innings where you don't play. It's okay. That is completely understandable. We're not going to blame you for the innings where you don't play, where you get out because of a good delivery or probably just a bizarre wicket. But the thing with Rishabh Pant that we've seen is his natural style of playing, is what people are calling these days natural way of playing. And for India, that is a boon as well as a bane, because the first 4 matches of the series, very ordinary performances, nothing extraordinary we saw. And even in the last test match at SCG, where India desperately needed Rishabh Pant to stay on the crease and play a big innings, he gave his wicket away. The 60s that he made in the 33 balls that he played, great innings, one of the best. But if you've played such a great innings and then you give away your wicket, all Pat Cummins, I think, had to do was ball a bit outside off, and he edged it while trying to hit a shot. So when you know your team is in a bad situation, when you know your team needs you to stay out, play a few defensive shots, probably leave a few balls outside off that if you play them are going to cost you your wicket, don't play them. And again, there was this entire debate going around whether we can give the excuse of a natural style of play. I think, I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. I mean, I agree you have a natural style of playing, but you need to adapt yourself to the situation. It's not a you sport, it's a team sport. You, at the end of the day, you're playing for Team India. And if you can't adapt yourself as a cricketer, as a batsman, in situations where your team needs the most, I'm sorry, you're not cut out for it. You are one of the best batsmen India has in Test cricket. You're one of the best wicket keepers India has. But if you don't adapt your batting style to the situation or the circumstances or the way the team needs, it's no use. It's no use of scoring a few runs, probably in an innings, and then getting out at the moment where the team needs you the most. I think that is something which is, rubbish. And he desperately needs to work in that. And it's simply not justifiable. You just can't say, okay, no, it's his style of playing. No, that is not done. He needs to do better as a batsman. There's so much going on in my head. But yeah, he needs to do much better at that. He needs to make himself a bit more adaptable. We saw him give away his wickets playing shots probably which you did not need. When you know there's a fielder for you in that very direction, don't hit a shot in that direction. You know, play a defensive shot, leave the ball alone. Play some other shot. You don't need to hit a ball for 4 and 6. Of course, when you are confident, if you know that okay, you can hit that shot, for by all means do it. That is what he did with Scott Pollard in that 5th test, and he did it well. But then you can't give away your wicket. You need to hold on to it, especially when your first 4 batsmen are not playing, are not performing. You giving away your wicket simply raises the pressure on the batsman on number 6, number 7, and it has a domino effect in a way. Your top player does not play, then the pressure just as a domino effect, it goes on till the tail enders. And what do? You make selection errors because of that, and we'll get to that as well. Moving on to number 6, again, the same problem. You do not have a fixed number 6. Up till the Bangladesh and New Zealand series, who was your number 6? It was probably KL Rahul or Sarfaraz Khan. And of course, since Rohit Sharma was not available in that first test match, it was Dhruv Jurel who played. But then as soon as Rohit Sharma came, Dhruv Jurel had to make way for the captain. Because at that point, openers Jaiswal and Rahul, they looked good, they looked solid. So of course, you don't want to disrupt that chemistry that they have got, the partnership that they've got. And you play at number 6. That's fair. The ball's a bit older. It won't swing probably as much. Probably be a bit more comfortable. You'll probably build a bit more of your confidence. But he does not do that. He gives away his wickets. There's no other way to put it. He gave away his wickets by playing useless shots, which he probably did not need to play. And he's made a lot of these errors, a lot of these judgment errors as well. What could you have done? And then you, as captain, you move on, you promote yourself. When you're in such a terrible form, when you're playing shite, you move yourself from number 6 to the opening number 2. You move Rahul down at number 3. You drop Shubman Gill. All why? Just because you wanted an opportunity to score a bit more runs, which you did not do. If he had done this and then he had scored runs, I'd still be okay with it. But he did not do. Both the innings that he played, he simply gave away his wicket. That's not done. Because not only you're a batsman, you're also the captain, and you've made terrible calls throughout this series. You were not aggressive enough. Look at Pat Cummins. Look at the way he was active. Look at the way he captained Australia. I get it, he's a bowler. Every time Australia needed something, he brought himself on to the bowling end. He gave himself a few overs. He took those wickets. When he thought the team needed to be aggressive, they needed to take those wickets. Look at the field set by Pat Cummins. How he set those fields for the Indian tail. You did not see Rohit Sharma doing that. And as a result of that, you had a couple of occasions where the tail enders, especially those 9, 10 and 11, playing such an innings which becomes the reason of your loss. How is that possible? How can you not dismiss those 9, 10s and 11s? Because you're simply not showing aggression. And I don't mean aggression as in pushing someone or having a spat with them. That's useless. That riles up the opposition player more than yourself. And Virat Kohli did that. I don't know why he did that. Of course, when he comes onto the field, he has a way, he has an aura, he has a style of doing things. But when he picked up all those fights, shouldering Constas and stuff, it just riled them up. And then they hit the shit out of us. Siraj had that fight with Travis Head, and the Australians beat the crap out of him. I'm sorry for the language, but it is what it is. You know, aggression plus confidence plus good form is a good thing. But when you're not playing at all, this aggression, it just shows your desperation and your frustration. It's not aggression, it's just you're just frustrated, you can't do anything, so you try to do a few dramatics out on the field, and that's not done. uh, Similarly, Rohit Sharma, not as proactive. His tactics were so bad. I mean, I could get into an entire thing with management. Hell, I am going to talk about the management as well in this, and then I'm going to go to the ballers because they did not do well at all. Okay, so of course, when you had poor performances from the top order, from the middle order, you felt a pressure to have some batting depth. You bring in Washington Sundar. But do you bowl him? No. Why? He's a bowler. He's a bowler who can bat. He's not a batsman who can bowl. He's a bowler who can bat. Why won't you bowl him? You saw, I think it was the MCG test where he bowled 1 over. 1 over is what you give Washington Sundar? Really? Is that how you're going to plan your team? That was pretty useless. Might as well get an extra fast bowler. Use 4 fast bowlers. Nitish Kumar Reddy is a bonus that you have who can bowl a few overs. Kind of like Australia had Mitch Marsh, and then of course in the last test they had Bo Webster. So you had Nitish Kumar Reddy for that kind of role. You had one Ravindra Jadeja. Why not do something like that, and why get Washington Sundar if you're not going to bowl him? And I think it was also this kind of calls that this is again a very huge speculation. None of this is confirmed or anything, but it's probably these calls that he made led Ashwin to believe he has no place in the team, and then he's not going to get the opportunity to play in the next 2 matches, which probably he should have instead of Jadeja. Jadeja is a better batsman than Ashwin. I agree 100%. He looked in good batting form as well in the first 3 test matches. But then if you look at the last couple of test matches, he's not scored runs. He just 18 balls. Probably that was to ease pressure off the other batsman who was scoring runs. Maybe that is what went on his mind, right? But you could have pulled Ashwin, who can take wickets and he can get under the Australian skin. We've seen that in 2018, we've seen that in 2021. This is not the first time Rohit Sharma has made terrible captaincy decisions. Even the 2 times that we played the WTC, you did not play Ashwin in England. Why? I don't know. He is a key player of your squad. You should play him. I don't know why you did not play him. But nevertheless, you bring in bowlers who can bat. You simply use them for batsmen. Rather get a specialized batsman in that place. Instead of Washington Sundar, you could have very easily got in a Sarfaraz Khan if you simply needed someone who can bat and you wanted to add batting depth, because it's fair. None of your batting order is performing. You need an extra batsman. Get in Sarfaraz Khan. He could have done very well in Australia. He showed us what he was capable of against New Zealand. He did really well in that series. And I'm surprised they did not play Sarfaraz Khan at all. Even when Rohit Sharma was not playing well, I'm surprised that they did not get him in. So that were bizarre calls from Rohit Sharma as a captain. And that makes me think if he's a good test captain. Don't get me wrong, he's a good ODI captain. He did really well for India in ODIs as well as T20s, and that is what got us the World Cup. But then his captaincy record in test cricket after that, Bangladesh was a miracle. I mean, if Bangladesh was now after BGT, that win would be a miracle for us, right? So Bangladesh gave us hope. The New Zealand series, we saw the team was in shambles. BGT, the first test match, Bumrah captained it. We did really well. Rohit Sharma comes in. Again, so many captaincy and management errors that we've seen. And then the last test match, you saw Bumrah coming in. He had his own strategy, you know, probably pile on the runs and then put the pressure on the Australians and bowl them out. And it has worked before. But because Rohit Sharma persisted on Bumrah and Siraj for so long, Bumrah had a back spasm. You know, there were moments where Bumrah was like, I cannot bowl anymore, but Rohit Sharma was like, you have to bowl, you know, there's no other way, you have to bowl. And that ultimately broke Bumrah's back, figuratively. So, terrible captaincy calls, terrible batting, and then he dropped himself, as a selfless act in the last test match. And I think for once it was that one decision if he really did drop himself, that was the only good decision that he made during this series. Other than that, I think terrible series for him, not only as a batsman, as a captain himself. All right, now let's come down the order a bit. Nitish Kumar Reddy, brilliant. First tour in Australia, he even debuted there, right? But from that young lad, it was a lot. He gave us a lot. His 100, excellent. Those 40s, 30s that he scored at that number 7 position, great. You know, you could not have asked him for more, and he really impressed me this season. And it shows that he is a gem who just needs to be worked upon a bit, and then he'll be your number 1 test all-rounder, and he's going to be a part of this squad for a long time to come. Like I already talked about, Washington Sundar and Jadeja, that was a bad captaincy call. First of all, 2 spinners is not the way you go around. And if you do, at least bowl them. You don't bowl them, you simply use them as batting, and that harms your pace bowling. Because even in this series, we did not have a fixed third fast bowler. Team India started out with Harshit Rana, who did well in the first test. Second test, not so well. Of course, it's only his second game, so I can understand, and you can sympathize with him. You know, it's okay. You won't be so hard on him, right? But then after the second game, you drop him. You bring Akashdeep in for the next couple of games, and then once Akashdeep is injured, you know, you bring in Prasidh Krishna for the 5th test match, who also does very well. So my question is, why could you not have a single player as your third pacer for the entirety of the game? Or better, like I have said before, you could get Bumrah, Siraj, Akashdeep, and then a Harshit Rana or a Prasidh Krishna, you know, a 4th pacer on and off that could have done the work for India. And you did not even need a spinner most of the times, all right? Because at the end of the day, what did Washington Sundar do anyways? So you could have done this. Now I get it. Shami is injured. He's not fully fit. He's not injured actually. He's not fully fit is what BCCI tells us, is what the captain tells us. He's playing in Ranji Trophy somehow, but he's still not fully fit. I don't know what the thing is. So let's leave it at that. But if Shami was in this test squad, it could have done wonders for us. He would have been crucial. And a fixed third pacer again would have done the job for us really well. Siraj, this test series was a bit of a disappointment. And I don't completely blame him. While, of course, part of the blame lies with him, I will not blame him completely. Because from what I've read, In 2024, he has bowled 331.3 overs. And if I'm not wrong, that's the most any Indian bowler has bowled. And even in the series, half of the overs that India has bowled were by Bumrah and Siraj. And Siraj was, I think, one of the most, has bowled one of the most overs in this series. So at a point, you think it is probably that fatigue that got into him. And, when you're tired, sometimes you don't play well, your line and lengths, they don't go as per plan. You can't bowl as per plan. He did have good spells. When the moment came, he did take wickets. Pure Mohammad Siraj. But he did kind of look tired, and he just did not look concentrated enough, focused enough. Did not use those line and lengths consistently. When he did get the results, but a lot of times he did not. So that is again another place where we failed as a team, as a management. We talk about workload management so much. We still somehow missed managing the workload of Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. What did it give us? Bumrah with a back spasm out in the second Australian innings, where we needed to bowl really well, where we needed someone to take wickets, and Siraj and Prasidh Krishna, they did well. They did take wickets for us. Even Nitish Kumar Reddy did. But Jasprit Bumrah's presence in that innings could have done wonders. It could have won us the game, even though we had given a target of 160, 165 something. We could have won that game. So yeah, the management did not manage the workload of Siraj or Bumrah, and it shows. It shows the way we bowled. It shows the way we played. And there was just too many errors that we saw from the management, from the captain, and even from the players themselves. I don't solely blame Gautam Gambhir for this, because what can a head coach do when your players are not performing well when they're on the pitch? You can't hold their hands and teach them how to bat. You cannot teach Virat Kohli the basics of batting. You cannot teach him batting 101. You can't teach that to Rohit Sharma. Right? And despite of them performing so poorly, you still put them in the squad. You basically shot yourself in the leg by taking these two to Australia and playing them consistently until Rohit Sharma dropped himself, of course. What a selfless act that was. Now, how do we go from here? I think take a call on Rohit and Kohli. For me, probably they've played the last test match. I don't think they're going to England. I don't think they should go to England until and unless they take the efforts to play the Ranji Trophy and county cricket. You have two upcoming Ranji Trophy games. I think one is on the 23rd of Jan, one is on the 30th of Jan. You don't play another ODI till probably the 6th of February, which is again in India against England. Even if you have to miss the first ODI against England, I think it is important that you, as captain and as a legend, you play those Ranji Trophy games. If you don't, it's simply your ego and your arrogance over the team's needs. There's no way of sugarcoating this. They need to go to Ranji Trophy, and so do a lot of other players. KL Rahul, Shubman Gill, Sarfraz Khan, not really, but he still should get some practice before he goes to England, if the team takes the right call and takes him to England. And we've seen some other players as well take a call and play Ranji Trophy. So they should do that. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, they need to do that, and only if they perform well in Ranji Trophy, and then go ahead after the Champions Trophy to play in England in the county, which starts around in April. If they do well there, that is the only scenario where they should be a part of the squad. Otherwise, I do not believe these two should be a part of the squad unless until they show that they can improve. Because then it would be the same story again and again and again. We would probably win one test match in England, all thanks to Jasprit Bumrah or a Yashasvi Jaiswal or a KL Rahul. We would, like a goldfish, forget the struggles that we've been facing, forget about Virat and Rohit's non-performance, let them play, and then when we lose the series, again we come on and speak about them, and then we do nothing. So something serious needs to be done. Another is better selection calls. I already said, why was Sarfaraz Khan not played? You know, why did you not get Arshdeep Singh to play in Australia? When you see that there probably is a problem with your third pacer, you could have got him as a left-handed pacer on top of that. That gives you an advantage. We saw that with T. Natarajan in the last BGT in Australia. Even though he was just an 8 bowler at the start of the BGT because of injury concerns, he had to bowl as a third pacer and he did really well, being a left-handed fast bowler and everything. So why not Arshdeep? Why not a fixed 11 going into the series? And if you had to play KL Rahul as an opener in Australia, why not use him as an opener in the previous test matches against Bangladesh or New Zealand? Or you did not know that Rohit Sharma was not going to play the first test match against Australia? And if that is the case, again, that raises a few questions as to why did not they plan with the future in mind. So a lot of things that, again, in respect to these players, I do feel Shubman Gill, Sarfaraz Khan, KL Rahul, these players should go to county cricket play. We've already seen players like Venkatesh Iyer and Arshdeep Singh and Cheteshwar Pujara go to England, play county cricket, prepare themselves for what could be a possible test call-up for the series against England. So why not these players? I think these players should go. I think the BCCI should encourage them. If it's possible, send them to county, let them play, let them practice on the English pitches, play a variety of bowlers there and prepare them really well for the English series, because then it's going to be the same story again and again, like I've said. As for Rishabh Pant, he needs to do something about his batting. He needs to be a bit more adaptable. I enjoy watching the way he plays, but that is not the only thing you do for the entire thing. You need to be a bit more defensive. We saw that in SCG in the first innings where he scored that 40 of that 90. We saw a glimpse of what he can do if he applies himself. And I think he somewhat needs to apply himself a bit more, because he needs to take on that responsibility when your top 4 and top 5 are not playing. He needs to take on that responsibility and he needs to do well. And well, I think that is it for now. This was a huge rant. I'm sorry for any language I probably might have used. I'm not really sorry. I'm just so frustrated with the fact that, we had to see this happen, even though we could see this happening from a mile away and we still did nothing. That frustrates me. That frustrates every Indian fan. And let's just hope the management and the captain and everyone take a good decision and they take the right steps leading towards the English Test Series. Of course, first you have the Champions Trophy, so you're going to focus on that. But once that's done, your next assignment is England, and you need to prepare really good for that. Because the last couple of times we were in England, I think again 18 and 21, 22, if I'm not wrong, we did well. We might not have won the series, but we did very well. And if we prepare ourselves this time, if we do, send players to Ranji and to County, and we do things the right way, we pick informed players rather than players because of their reputation, we might, for a change, win a series in England. So, yep, that is all from my side this time. This is a long episode. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, if you have any suggestions, do write them down in the comments. Again, also, what do you think we did wrong other than what I've said? If you have any other points, and if you'd like to have a good discussion, write them down in the comments and we'll talk about it. Maybe I'll even invite you to the podcast. I don't know. A partner would be good. But that is it for today. Thank you for watching. Do like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell icon there. And specifically, share to your friends. I need to get the subs up to at least 1,000, guys. Let's do it. Let's get the subs up to 1,000. And yep. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.